Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the No Quitters Podcast, the best MTV The Challenge podcast in the universe. I am your host, Clem, and as always, I'm joined by my alliance on the podcast. We got our boy Captain Cons, and, and our boy JJ is in Rome or Venice or wherever the hell he is.
He is gallivanting about Europe like a sophisticated gentleman, which he is not. he is parading as such, but we have a good substitute as always.
I would like the Italians to know, my fellow people to know, that is an imposter. That is not a true gentleman over there. That is JJ. He's a son of a bitch, but we love him. Anyway, like we said, we have a guest on the show, back from the redemption house of the fucking podcast, Bobby Regan makes it back. Barstool Riggs on Twitter. How we doing, Bobby?
What redemption house am I coming back from? Am I in the first one, the second one? I might be by myself. It might be me and Marie, but hell, I wouldn't know if she was there.
If Darrell was there, you'd probably be dead by now. He would have pounded your face because he's like, get the fuck out of my house.
No, we would have been cool. We just would have taken naps and just sat there and been like, all right, you want breakfast? All right, I'll see you in 12 hours.
All right, so I mean, we could jump in a lot of places here. Why
don't we just jump in with how much MTV sucks?
All right. So this is how I wanted to figure out how we just talk about it. This is like a gripe session. I feel like this is going to turn into tonight. And to be fair, I'm not even trying to we've had times on this show where we were upset about shit, in the past. This isn't even us. This is just my mentions. The mentions for the No Quitters pod on Twitter. People are fucking angry right now. And they've been angry for a while. Tonight, set them over the edge.
I think the worst part was at the end for the coming on next episode, and it said 18 challengers remaining still. This show's been going on since April.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and the most obvious thing. And if you weren't paying attention, it doesn't matter because you just one look at our mentions and 86 of our listeners.
Spoiler alert! Are you going to spoil what happens in the challenge in the elimination?
Yes.
Yeah. So skip ahead 30 seconds or skip ahead a minute. We won't talk anything great. But yeah. So if you look at the next on, it's plain as day who wins the challenge or comes back to the house. All right, Connor. All right, starting now. Skip ahead 2 minutes just to be safe. Connor, you have the floor.
Am I allowed to say it now?
Yeah, say it. We have 2 minutes to talk about it.
Okay, yeah. Corey gets eliminated, and Hunter's just standing there plain as day, and they had it up on the screen for 3 seconds.
They're usually pretty good about avoiding the they'll hint at it, but they usually avoid the flat out. Here's who won.
Just right in your face. Back in the day, I imagine we're all challenge super fans. Obviously, we've all done this. If you really wanted to know who made it, you would super slow down the DVR and be like, well, this person's taller than this person, and process elimination. Be like, that skin looks a little light or a little dark. This time, it's no, Hunter's fucking at the house. It's not, and they're in the elimination as we go. So yeah, just sloppy camera work. I used to hate when MTV would trick us with stuff where they'd make you think it was going one way and then it went another. They'd edit a night from a previous week into seeming like it happened that a whole week when it didn't. But Jesus Christ, give me a little bit of illusion here. Don't straight up tell me who wins. We had this whole thing with Game of Thrones about spoilers and leaks. That's kind of the reason we're still watching this show is because, I don't know. I want to kind of figure out something. We don't. That's another thing. All right. So hopefully the people that fast forwarded are back now. It's clear. We don't even get a full episode anymore. It used to be someone tweeted at us at the No Quitters podcast. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick.
I bet you I know which tweet you're going to do it.
38 minutes. 38 minutes of regular time. 22 minutes of commercials.
No. It was. Okay. It was Connor Maddox. He goes, it's simple. Show us some partying, a challenge, and an elimination. That's the tried and true method that made the challenge work forever. If you can't give us those three things every episode, the challenge is in trouble. Maybe you can't get the partying because all the people that party stink. I don't know. They tweeted out, you're getting 2 eliminations tonight. Yeah, you gave us the Tory one that took 3 seconds total, which they could have fucking just put in, but they had to do the whole ammo tease with the ambulance. And then we can only get half of elimination tonight with Anissa losing. It was fucking unbelievable.
I'll tell you what my least favorite part of the show was during the challenge when they were showing clips of like CT back in the day, Anissa back in the day, Veronica back in the day, all that stuff, and just remembering how great it used to be, because none of that's there anymore. Like you said, like the fighting's not there, the partying's not there, the just true like general debauchery's not there, and it was always the first segment of the show was like recapping like post elimination, whatever was kind of left over, and then it went right into the challenge, deliberation, elimination, with partying somewhere in between, and that was it. Yep. And it was perfect. Like you knew what you were getting. You had it was one episode a season where it would carry over the teaser of who won the elimination to the next episode. One a season, maybe two.
You know what that whole sequence, the flashbacks of previous challenges made me think of, though? Do either of you guys have one of those friends? Now, I really hope this isn't true anymore just because of our ages, but back in the day when you were younger and you'd go out to the bar and he was your buddy who would somehow get into a scuffle and you'd be like, how the hell did he turn that into a fight? That was like old CT.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, why is he fighting? Wait. That's why he's fighting him? How is that something that angered him to punching someone? Wait, what's going on? Can either of you think of someone in your life that comes to mind that it's like that for them?
Oh, absolutely. But what that whole little segment reminded me of, going along with what you just said, is getting back together with like your college or high school buddies and reminiscing about the old days. Like that's all that was. It was that, and then everyone that's watched the challenge forever being like, yeah, us too, man. Like we kind of wish it was like that still.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, I honestly feel like it started once we started this podcast, is when the season started going downhill. I don't want to say it's the no quitters curse, but I'm starting to think it's the no quitters curse right now. And this season has not been as bad as some of the other ones. Like thinking back at Bloodlines, that shit was fucking awful, you know. Like think about how many Bloodlines you're like, oh, I wish that person was still on the show. Like we have Nicole, who's cool, and you know, Shane Reigns is like a fucking, you know, he's a firework. He's fun to watch for 3 seconds and he blows up. But it's brutal, man, right now. The commercials are all fucked up. What was it, 38-22 was the ratio tonight.
Right, which that's fine, but the real action didn't start today until like the 16th minute. Yeah. Because you had the leftover shit and then whatever bullshit talking afterward.
Yeah, like you can convince me that if you want to like bridge that elimination round, and the person, even if it's a 5-second elimination like it was, Tori won in like 5 seconds or whatever it was. If you say you want to bridge that to the next episode and like Laurel's going home or Camilla is, for someone on this season, is going home, then you're like, all right, like that's the kind of a big moment. I'm sure they'll get like 5 minutes thing. Marie, half the time I didn't even remember she was on the show, and the other half of the time I was saying, who the fuck is Marie? I still don't know like what she's from. I don't care where she's from. I'm not the only one who feels like this, right?
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And just a quick aside, that challenge in itself was somewhat difficult.
The memory challenge?
Yeah, aside from just the numbered seasons, like obviously a season 1 of something comes before season 2, but there have been so many different names and such. That was actually a pretty difficult challenge, evident by the fact that people who have been on a majority of them couldn't even freaking figure it out.
Yeah,
and
especially because it didn't.
I would also like to point out that Clem's girl just said her strategy was to cheat, and I do not condone cheating as a means to winning. So,
winning is all that matters.
Yep, sounds like a loser to me. Keep going about it.
She also said, I'm only worried about the American flag, which just solidified her as America's sweetheart.
You took the words out of my mouth, Bobby. I mean, I was like, I had like 100 tweets running through my head when she said it, and I was just like, you know, I'm just going to save this smile for myself. And I'm just like, I was just going to put 140 fucking American flag emojis. God bless her, the American sweetheart.
But here's my thing.
About
does she even know any other flags?
Does she need to?
Does she need to? I can counterpoint, Mr.
Fair.
fucking America. I thought you were in the Army.
That's a fair answer.
Yeah.
Hey, I am all about America, but I am also about basic intelligence for Americans. And we do have some nice allies out there, so it wouldn't be the worst thing to know some other flags.
Fucking allies. Get out of here. They're our allies. We're not their ally. They want to be allies with us. Fucking come into the fucking big fucking... We're the big swinging dick in the neighborhood. Let's just call it what it is. God bless America. God bless Jenna. But yeah, I agree. That was a tough challenge because we get this question all the time. People always say like, hey, Clem, Connor, JJ, even Riggs, I'm sure can get some stuff like, what's the best challenge to watch? Like, give me like, what happens in this? What's the challenge where CT eats Adam's face? And every time, like, honestly, I have no fucking clue. Like, they're all the same to me at this point. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Bloodlines, I know it's like when the family comes in, but it's all the same shit. I couldn't tell you what order happened, and you know, granted, I didn't live through them like these people did, but like at that point in my life, they were in their point of life where they were just drinking and being idiots, just like I was, and they probably don't remember shit. You know what I mean?
Well, especially it doesn't help that, like Connor said, it's, you know, you have rivals 1, 2, 3 or whatever. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3 and then you know, cutthroat 1, 2, 3. It's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. It's all over the place, and I think they kind of correlated the way that I think a lot of people do is, okay, well, I was on the show from 25 or from, you know, when I was 19 to 25, but I don't remember exactly which one was which. It just, well, this happened this year, this happened this year. Then you have to think, okay, what was the setup? Which, and then again, you throw in the fact that I did like that it was open, that you could cheat, as opposed to other challenges where they kind of hide it. I think it added kind of the stress factor, along with having all four next to each other.
The producers probably realized, like, if they did separate them and not even let them look at one another, it probably would have taken 3 times as long.
They'd still be there, like, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. It's to be honest with you, and this isn't because my girl, the America's sweetheart, said it. Like, my thing was like, let's just look at what the people who know what they're talking about are doing, and then copy them. And I would honestly be like trying to trick other teams, like be like, all right, listen, let's put like this one here that we know is wrong, and then just fill everything else out, and then switch the two if we actually knew what we were doing. But and I'd be yelling out like, yo, I know for sure Rivals 2 was the 15th season, just to fuck with everyone else on there. And I don't know how it all went. It was kind of like, again, the way they edited it. But this much I will say, and I imagine you guys are with me, the shining star was our boy TJ, because Camilla was getting just thrown into that wall over and over again, and he was laughing his dick off. And it was like, there was so much anger, and I mean, again, in the mentions too, so much angst, and then it just turned to such happiness just seeing TJ laugh.
Because when you're with Camilla, you know, she's a tiny girl, number one, and then number two, you're dealing with like a pulley system. You can't really control that in terms of, you know, the swaying back and forth. So because of her weight or lack thereof, really, and then just that pulley, she's just getting tossed into that pole, and she wasn't really bracing herself. So she was just eating it with various parts of her body. And then whenever she gets more angry, you know, her accent comes out further. So it's just funnier to listen to her scream in that Brazilian accent.
It was like the funniest person that could have been getting slammed to that wall was Camilla, because you were like, oh shit, like I don't know what's about to happen here.
Well, and then throw in the fact that it was like CT and Leroy, 2 of the 3 biggest guys in the house, like part like of the pulley system. Like, you know, CT was cackling a little bit, like look up.
Yeah,
she would just like, she would get like a running start and just run right into it. And TJ's reaction was just, that was classic TJ.
It was classic TJ. He makes everything better. And even Cara Maria was the other chick who was obviously ripped to fucking shreds. And I don't think like I think her and Camilla are cool. We've obviously hung out with them a few times, like on the show, like interviewing them and stuff. I don't feel like Cara Maria really like cares all that much what people think about her. So she might be like, shut the fuck up. Just get up there.
She doesn't care at all.
And Leroy, shout out to Leroy, because he did what like all of us have done when people like are trying to tell you something, and he just shakes his head like, oh yeah, and you're just like looking up, and you kind of like, you put the Costanza on, you know what I mean? Look like you're thinking hard, and you're a little like busy and upset, and feel like, all right, like he's working hard right now, don't bother him. So snake it till you make it. It's the motto.
Everyone who listens to this podcast is going to be doing that at work tomorrow.
Yes,
like probably as they listen, be like, their boss will be like, hey, did you like we need this report done. Just being like, yeah, yep, that one too.
Yo, I had a buddy. That's like talking about fake it till you make it. I had a buddy. He had a friend who used to say the best way to look busy at work were the 3 S's: staple, shuffle, and sort. If you were doing one of those 3 at all times in your office, like, yeah, Clem looks busy, man. He's busy all day. Meanwhile, you could be stapling blank pieces of paper and nobody knows the difference. So it's perception is reality, I believe, is the saying that is most appropriate here.
This is true. And like you guys kind of mentioned before, but like the downside of this challenge too, like it really just made me miss the old challenges. Like I was like, I really miss seeing all those idiots and people that I knew and liked and grew to like and really got to know throughout all the years, like getting drunk, hooking up, fighting, being morons, having like these like classic challenge moments, the bananas backpack and the, Adam getting his face smashed in. And it was kind of like, wow, like we don't really have that anymore. It was kind of a wake up call. Like, shit, this is not like that.
That makes me think like Veronica, she probably hasn't watched this since she's been on it. So she probably thought like she was getting back into what the challenges used to be way back when she was actually on them, and was probably such a big letdown when she actually got there and saw all the rules about drinking. And that's why she probably that explains tonight. She just couldn't take it anymore. And she settled for hooking up with Anissa because she just needed to hook up with someone.
Going back to what Clem said, though, about the old episodes to now, what the biggest difference to me is, besides the drinking, is the song choice. Like, back in the day, it was always the most obscure songs that they would play, because the little thing would pop up on the bottom left-hand side of your screen with the band and the song name. Now they're playing songs that I hear, like, on the radio. That was never, like, the MTV was always priming. And the old, like, intro song to, when they were talking about Anissa and Veronica, whatever season that was, like that old intro compared to like the new stuff, it's like, man, things have just from a production level have changed, let alone from like the game level and the entertainment like level.
Yeah, for sure. It really is. It's night and day. And again, like some of that stuff is like for the better, some of it's definitely for the worse. Some of it's just different in general. I don't know, man. It was a bummer. Again, and that was another tease. Again, they I'll give MTV. They did tease us. Like, this was what did she say? The Eat Your Pussy episode or whatever. They dropped the Eat Your Pussy, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be like a chick love triangle or chicks hooking up or whatever. It wasn't that. Not that I cared. I was very fine with it not being it. But that was MTV is just fucking us left and right here. The Redemption House. Marie's in the Redemption House. Someone tweeted at us. I can't find it right now. Someone was like, how pissed must Darrell be that he sees Marie has the house all by herself because Emma went home. And that made me laugh. Like, for real, like, poor Darrell, dude. If Darrell somehow like gets back in the Redemption House and can come back on the show, I'm not going to hate the Redemption House for that reason. But again, we're at 18 people plus have another Redemption House Super Twist coming. What the fuck, MTV? Like, when is this shit going to end?
This is an example of them thinking more is better, when I would say half the episodes, and if you just packed them in a little more, it would probably be a lot better than dragging it out like this. More is not better in this case.
I know they like to tease, the challenge has been notorious for like teasing injuries and things like that. Was this the worst injury ever? Like,
what are you talking about?
With ammo. Like how they they always tease, like when someone gets injured, it's always at the end of an episode where they show the ambulance come, and you have to wait till next episode to find out that they're fine. It's fluids, they show them with fluids, they come back to the house or whatever. This was the worst one. Like, it was just ammo just all of a sudden popped up on a screen like, hey, I'm going back to New York for my mental health.
Yeah, he had some serious like PTSD, it sounds like. So they just kind of
like, I was trying to figure out what was going on.
So I actually read about it today. He had a pretty, not to get too serious, but it's a fairly serious situation. And as someone who has battled and still battled with PTS myself, it's not something that's be taken lightly. So much so that, to just go off topic for a second, the military now is using mental health as part of their medical screening. But he had had a traumatic experience with one of his partners in the past where he had been raped, and he had said when he was wrestling blindfolded with Jordan, it was very reminiscent and it triggered a lot of feelings. So I got no problem with him going.
Yeah, I
didn't
know that.
I didn't know.
I thought they did a poor job kind of explaining.
Yeah,
usually they put like a promo, or not a promo, a PSA out there or something like that. Mm-hmm. That was the first time where I felt like they've never really kind of explained what happened.
I think I think he actually announced it like after that episode was over last week, because when he first came out with it, like I don't know if he told producers he was going to do anything. My wife actually, she told me about it too after we recorded the podcast. She's like, "You idiots didn't say anything like mean about it." I'm like, "No, of course not." Like it seemed like he had a fucking breakdown, like it was serious. And she's like, "All right, good." And then she kind of explained the situation. I was like, "Oh shit!" And again, like I'm sure that's like a weird, privacy, what you want to shoot. But yeah, they usually do throw like a PSA, and I'm sure if they ever come out with it, they'll probably do that maybe at the reunion or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and again, I wanted to touch on that. Thanks for reminding me. We were supposed to have Ammo on the show last week, and then there was a mix-up where I thought we had contacted him. He was waiting for us to contact him. There was like, did you text him? No, did you text him? And it was like, oh shit. And then it was turned out he was just waiting on us. We were going to get him on today, and then it just didn't work out. So hopefully next week, but don't worry, it's on the docket. What did he say? Are we fucking or not? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah. Emma, you're putting it out there, man. Like I love it. So we definitely want to get him on. Everyone's we're Team Ammo over here, even though he's gone, still repping for him. So and yeah, and the fucking Redemption House, god damn it. So we go to I guess Anissa. Okay, and that was the other thing. Anissa pulls up lame on a celebration, which immediately, did you think she was faking? Both of you guys, I want to hear.
Yeah, I think she twisted her ankle and turned it into a lot worse than the popping sound and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would think too. Yeah, she had a little bit like, think about it like this. It was probably she twisted her ankle to where, like, if you were playing pickup basketball, you roll it, and then you just run down the court like one and a half times, and then you're back to normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was that level of rolling the ankle, and she played it up like it was
getting carried off. Like
it was like, oh, someone tweeted. This is actually a good sports memory. But Byron Leftwich, when he gets carried down the field with a broken leg. Yeah,
I was gonna say it was like the Sean Livingston injury, the way she treated it.
Yeah, somebody tweeted out actually the Byron Leftwich gif, and he's getting carried down, which is pretty funny. Also, Rodney Dangerfield and Caddyshack. He's like, oh,
yeah, well, my arm,
it's broken.
Again, we have the fucking funniest listeners in the world. They were getting me all night, and I couldn't even tweet it out fast enough. Some of the shit they had going. An angry challenge mob is like the funniest challenge mob because everyone's thinking on the same page. So yeah, I thought she was probably faking afterwards. A shout out though, like when she was like, "Oh man, I wanted to work out today," and everyone was calling her on bullshit. It's like there's nothing better to being her to being like, "Oh, I wanted to work out. Oh, I wanted to do this. I want to do errands." Like, nope, can't do it. Hurt. Like it's the best thing in the world. Like they said, the Newman with it's raining out, not going to go to the gym. It basically absolves you of all things that you have to do to take care of yourself. And then we had. So Anissa got voted in, Corey got voted in, which I thought was like an underratedly funny thing, just seeing them next to each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that the most hated like couple in challenge history? If you want to call them a couple,
I would say probably so. I would say like approval rating, like combined approval rating,
right? From a fan standpoint,
based on everything I've ever seen, that's pretty low. I will say though, the time Corey beat Connor in an arm wrestling contest, his approval rating was pretty high.
Most accomplished thing he's done in his life, apparently. Well, second behind juggling 3 women in a house.
We go into the thing. So, and, again, I love it how everyone's always upset, oh, you throwing me in. It's like, yo, someone has to go in, man. That's just the fucking way it goes. It goes, and then the way they're pulling the things with the double cross, which I still, like, get confused when the second X. I think that means they're going in, even though it means they have the pass. We had Tori got voted. No, did Tori went in, right?
Tori,
Anissa.
Yeah.
Tori Anissa. And then it was Hunter, who, that was the whole dramatic thing, was Hunter going to pull it, which we had like 8 commercials just between like the time they got voted into the elimination to the time the elimination actually started. Hunter versus Corey. And someone called us out last week about this like tinfoil conspiracies, tinfoil hats, yada, 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 about how, MTV doesn't change the elimination based on the competitor. We said it with Jordan because they wrapped him up and he had to use his hands to grip those things. We've said in the past where it's like the fucking midget those little skulls were always coming out just perfectly for MTV. And then they wrapped a motherfucking bracelet around Anissa's ankles. And they're going to try to tell me that this is all just a coincidence. We're fucking on to MTV. And if you don't agree with these tinfoils, please unsubscribe, unfollow, because it's the fucking truth. The goddamn cameras were there too. I know they were there when the whole Shane shit went down. Don't fucking play me, MTV. We're too woke for that shit.
All right, here's all you need to know. Those things didn't start happening until MTV started listening to our podcast and stealing our ideas. We said they should start doing that. They should start picking eliminations based on who's in them. And then, oh my gosh, what happens? Lo and behold, seems like the eliminations cater to those who are involved in them. So if you think that's really like, a wild theory, you just need to listen to our show the last 4 years and realize everything we've said has been taken by MTV and implemented into their show. Case closed.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of, quote, trying to hide, and I use good job loosely, these tinfoil hats by not they let it up to make it seem like the whole time I thought it was going to be Hunter and Nicole pulling the double cross. Like that's kind of one of those, like, they're going to make this be a thing, and it's going to be, they get to escape and pick and break up an alliance or whatever. So I'll give them credit for showing Jordan which one to pull, because they definitely cheat. Like there's something hidden with those double crosses. I'm not buying into that. Like you said with the skulls thing, there's a frozen envelope there somewhere.
Yeah, like, and then even last season when they were like timing trials of people and they were like they couldn't even see each other, and it was like, all right, you're out.
Yeah.
It was tremendous. I mean, hey, MTV, do whatever you got to do to make the show more entertaining. If you want to get rid of the shitty cast members early, that's cool with me. My plan would be to not have the shitty cast members on the show at all, because then when people like Maria are on the screen, I don't give a flying fuck about what's going on. That's just my 2 cents. You're probably up the creek because all the people that are entertaining are old and washed up like me. So I don't really know what you're going to do with that, but not my problem. Anyway, so we had Anissa went home, which I guess is the fucking redemption house, so who gives a shit? Who are you guys rooting for next episode, Corey versus Hunter? Because it's pretty much, and with, actually, you know what? We can't say that because we already know who goes home now that I say it. But all this hate, there's a lot of hate coming out now. I don't know if MTV knew that there was going to be a lot of hate. Probably not, because it's hate for the commercials and shit like that. But next week's trivia. So next week is a big week for MTV, because the trivia episode flops. I'm officially worried about the challenge.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, I don't think we mentioned, shit, they pushed us back an hour.
Yeah.
I was going to say that for my LVP, was the producers of the show, because they pushed us back an hour, and I understand this is going to sound extremely washed up and like an old man yelling at a cloud. I don't need the challenge from 10 to 11. I was very happy with that. I would have welcomed an 8 o'clock start time, if we're being honest here. I'm up to fucking 12:30 at night, getting all this shit, producing the podcast, putting it on YouTube, getting it on iTunes. I'm now going to be up to 1:30 in the morning. So this is a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Programming announcement. There's a very good chance No Quitters will not be put up on, what is it, Tuesday? Tuesday nights, right after the show's over. Because honestly, I just can't stay up and do a podcast that I want to do till 1:30 in the morning, and then have a kid that wakes up at 6 in the morning, and then work a full-time job this is basically a hobby for us. This isn't, anything full-time for us.
And throwing football, you're up late Sunday and Monday now.
Shit. Bobby, I might just stop the podcast at this point. Don't get me started right now. God damn.
Like, that's the thing. Now it's a Tuesday. Like, I like the move from Wednesday to Tuesday, but the even better move was moving from 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Now with football starting, and you want Sunday night, Monday night, and now Tuesday night late nights.
Yeah, I imagine a good chunk of our audience are big football fans like we are. I imagine like Tuesday was that night where you kind of just like threw the pajamas on early, got to dinner at like the diner on the way home, picked it up, and then just ate, and then kind of like just passed out on your couch at like whatever time it is. Depending on your age, that scale goes down. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been in bed at 8 o'clock a few times in the last few months here. I'm a dad with kids. That's just how it goes. Connor, on the other hand, is in Never Never Land, but I'm sure he's not very happy that he has to stay up till fucking 11 to start taping.
No, I mean, just because I'm awake doesn't mean I want to be recording a podcast at 11 o'clock.
And again, we do it for the listeners because we truly do love you guys. But like, if you have a problem, if by some chance, which I'm saying is probably a pretty good chance, and when you get in JJ, who's gonna be like, nah, fuck this shit, motherfuckers, I fucking hate everybody. I'm just gonna say it's gonna go to an even better chance that this is probably gonna become a podcast that gets released sometime, I don't know, Wednesday night into Thursday potentially. If you have a problem with that, you let MTV know, because there's nothing we can do about this. We have jobs that MTV is not paying for, so I cannot then change my life for a thing that we're doing as a hobby for fun. So if you are unhappy with the time slot like we are, like I imagine most people on the ugly side of 30 are, the dirty 30. This is the fucking dirty 30. See this face, guys? Mm-hmm. This face with the bags under it and the fucking 5 chins because I just don't do anything but eat carbs and fucking nonsense. That's the dirty 30 right there. I have an injury?
You have a bad ankle. Didn't work out.
It didn't work. It's if this ankle only got better, I would have been fine. I thought you were calling my kid an injury, which I mean, if you're being honest, it's not the most incorrect assessment in the world. But yeah, so that's the programming note, which is something I did want to mention, and that's why the producers are my LVP. Connor, who's your LVP?
My LVP is MTV for all the reasons we've listed tonight: time change, 86,000 commercials, sloppy editing. I don't need to go on because we all already know. But MTV, clear-cut LVP this week.
Yeah, by the way, I just went on Twitter trying to find a tweet from before, and my mentions is filled with this spoiler about who wins the matchup next week. Like, every single person picked up on it immediately, which is just bad, man. Just ugly. Bobby, who you got LVP?
I think it's got to be unanimous. Like, I was going to go with, like, Are You the One, just because they ruined the old road rules. Like, you know what? MTV for getting rid of road rules.
Yeah, yes. Good point, too. Throw that on the fucking fire. Another log on the MTV fire.
MTV for getting rid of road rules.
And like, just the whole feel of those old challenges were just better. Make it like that again, right? Like, this is the thing. We do ask for, like, more, like, intense challenges, but I'm looking for like CTE where guys are killing each other, but I'm also looking for a little bit of fun. Again, I wish I could give you more. If I could hire as a television executive or something with that salary, I could do that. But right now, just going to bitch and moan like all other people out there, because you guys, we're trying to be the voice of you guys, and I think everyone, ladies and gentlemen, can agree with us on that. So, MTV taking home the fucking sweep of the LVP tonight. That's a rough look. MVP, Bobby, MVP.
I'm gonna go with Leroy. No, I was gonna go with Leroy, but we kind of talked about him earlier with the snake it till you make it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Kayla, because Kayla is like the forgotten star. She is now Steph Curry to Jenna being Kevin Durant. She's really good. Like, she's clearly athletic. She can win. She's knows how to play the game a good amount, but for some reason, like, she just gets tossed to the fire whenever someone wants to break up that alliance.
Yeah.
So, but I'll tell you what, like, she's now what, 2 for 2 in eliminations this season, or she's 3 for 3. Either way, she's won every one. I'm gonna give her the MVP because, her and Jenna are a pretty good 1-2 combo on the girls' side.
You call Jenna and put her in the conversation with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, you're always going to have my cosign on it, so I agree with you on that one. And yeah, like, Kayla, she's a friend of the program. She pissed on Corey. And she handles her business. So I have to say, I watched her Real World season, did not care for her, but they edit those things. I mean, they edit these things too to hell, so you don't even know
that Real World
really
season
happened.
stunk.
And is the Real World just dead? It hasn't been on since
know.
the one after that.
It's still been rocking and rolling. It's still been going. Yeah, with various formats, but it's still been going.
The last one was the one where they literally
excuse me.
Bless you. They literally brought in like an entire cast of like it was like another Skeletons one, right?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
it's been like a year, but I'm sure they'll have another one coming if they're going to be pushing the challenge more. I imagine they'll push the real world more. Connor, who you got?
MVP is CT. One, for seeing the old clips, because who doesn't like seeing those clips? But two, I always like when people say obscure names for things. So instead of saying Anissa had a bad ankle, he goes, "Oh yeah, she's working with the flat tire." I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
I've heard, I've heard flat tire, I've heard broken wheel, but it just anything that you're not used to hearing is always refreshing.
Those sayings, I get so mad when I hear, because like I don't have any of those sayings in my back pocket. Like I feel like you need to be like an older guy, or like professional athletes like have those like shout out to Starting Nine at Starting Nine baseball podcast from Barstool Sports, awesome podcast. Second one was on tonight, second live one. It's on Facebook, facebook.com/Barstool Sports. Check it out if you're a baseball fan, and it's like legitimately awesome. And like they're just throwing baseball lingo around for like a guy's bad arm or a curveball or something like that. And I'm like, shit, man, like I wish I could talk like that. I'm not even smart enough to think of that, or even have like anyone who's smart enough to tell me stuff like that. So
you know who else talks cool? Hockey players.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Their lingo is fantastic.
Yep.
It's a lot of just ending words with Y and like S.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually just like names.
Right. But I feel like they just translate that to everything.
But I'm in terms of like things that they do on the ice and different moves and stuff. They have all like weird.
Like triple deke is one of the best
examples.
The deke is one of the best like sports terminology words out there.
Yeah, agreed. I actually I had this like a little rant the other day about how when you're at the grocery store and you have that little grocery stick that you put in between like the person behind you if their groceries are there.
Yeah.
Every time you put the grocery stick down, you realize people like will like suck your dick. They're like, "Thank you so much." Like it took me 3 seconds, and it's more so your shitty food doesn't come near my shitty food, and I pay for it by mistake. Like I went in this whole thing, and someone's like, hockey players actually have a thing where I think it's like. If you're a shitty player, like they call you a grocery stick, like your stick is worthless, basically, like a grocery stick. And I'm like, damn, hockey players are so fucking cool. So that
I've never think of that.
I would never think of that in a million years. My MVP, it was already talked about. So, and also shout out to CT. CT, like, he could have just taken the easy way at him and like, I'm going with the group. I'm doing this. Like, he's like, Anissa, you stink. And everyone thinks you stink, and no one wants to see you on the show anymore. And you're out, and get the fuck out of my face. And so shout out to CT for keeping it real. And like CT's too old to play these fucking games anymore. He's too old for this shit. He's like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, which is like
too old for this shit.
Which is like a 75-year-old reference by me by pulling out Danny Glover. But that is CT. He's like, I'm too old for this shit. Like, you stink. You got a fucking flat tire. Boston people, I feel like, are also really good at that kind of shit. They get the Boston accent. Yes. So shout out CT for just fucking putting Anissa in a body bag, zipping it up, throwing it off a fucking cliff. I am going MVP. Again, already mentioned him, but got to go our boy TJ. Anytime I can put TJ as the MVP, I will. That was legitimately the best part of the episode, was just watching him laugh. And, like, he was having a ball out there. And next week's trivia, so hopefully it'll again be, like, him pulling the lever and then, like, getting shot out of a cannon into, like, a fucking graveyard or something. Love seeing TJ out there. He's the fucking best. And he's so fucking handsome, man. That guy is so sharp. That hair he had tonight was unbelievable. Popping. So shout out to TJ for being like, if we're being honest, like we talk about how old the older people are getting old, tired, not really hanging out. TJ can always be TJ. You know what I mean? So he's really the glue that holds this entire show together. So shout out to him. And that's basically the episode there. I mean, I have to end it somewhat soon, so I'm not up till fucking 4 a.m. editing this shit. Captain Cons, anything to talk about, plug, yada, yada, yada.
Not really. I'm just excited for football season to be back. We got our home opener on Friday night. Really looking forward to football season.
Who's the home opener against?
What's that?
Who's the home opener against?
Fordham.
And how are the Black Knights looking this year?
We look strong, man. I mean, we finished 8-5, beating Navy in bowl win. 15 to 22 starters coming back to include some of our biggest leaders, some of our biggest producers, and positions where we had big losses, we have had guys step up. So, you never want to get ahead of yourself, but I'm certainly confident for the season.
Beautiful. Yeah, Black Knights fan here. I told you, Army was my college football team growing up, just because that's my area. So let's go Army, beat Navy. Bobby, what do we got?
Got my podcast going on. We had a pretty big one last week with Ken Pomeroy and the guy who pretty much created the 3-on-3 for the finals at the Final Four, or for the seniors at the Final Four, for $100,000. This week, on Fundamentally Sound, which you can find on Twitter at FundamentallySD. We're having Tom Westerholm, who's a Celtics guy, and a Bucks guy to kind of talk about the trade, the Kyrie trade, Eurobasket, because of the whole Bucks Giannis situation with Greece. So we got that going on, I think, Thursday night. So again, you can follow that at Fundamentally SD. As for me, I'm in on Eurobasket. I love international basketball, and our boys, Willie, Kuz, and Kristaps are playing in it. So Knicks fans, I got your Eurobasket stuff coverage going on, so you can check that out. But obviously at Barstool U.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, it's like the one thing, like, for Eurobasket, I was like, damn, this is half our team and like the fun half part of our team, basically. So
it's and Kuz has been like yamming on people. Like he went after Kristaps, and he called out Willie today on Twitter. Because he dunked on Spain, and Willie saw him coming and didn't jump, and he said, "Willie, why didn't you jump?" So he's gonna yam on someone at Eurobasket.
I love it. Nothing much from me. I think I mentioned this last episode, but we had Game of Thrones obviously just wrapped up. So if you guys want to, we do a post Game of Thrones episode every episode. Me and Charlie Wisco. This week we had Feidelberg from Barstool Sports on, and we just kind of talked about the latest, the last show for about an hour plus. YouTube.com/The Clem Report if you want to check that out. Just go to videos. You'll see like the playlist there. It's in the post Game of Thrones thing. You can also watch these on YouTube as well. That's something we changed this year instead of going on SoundCloud. And we didn't know if SoundCloud would even be alive by the time the podcast started. And I do Podfathers on iTunes, which is me, KFC, and Uncle Chaps, all from Barstool Sports, talking about being dads, being washed. I'm sure there's more than a few challenge listeners who are as old as me and as washed as me that can kind of identify with a lot of shit. And like Connor said, there's a lot of people without kids. Bobby too. Bobby was nodding his head when we were talking about home buying and how much it sucks last episode. Even like kids in their 20s are like, I don't have kids, but it's like there is some relatable shit, and it's like just laughing at other people's misery.
It's not even that it's relatable. Yeah, it's more than like your guys' stories are just funny.
Yeah.
It's just enjoyable. I like hearing about you guys as kids and all the stories. And I have plenty of buddies with kids now, yourselves included. And there's a reason they had that really successful show, and they brought it back like 12 times. The kids say the darndest things.
Yeah,
shit's just funny. I don't care if you have kids or not. It's just an enjoyable podcast.
Thank you.
It's
people without children who listen.
I was gonna say it's Podfathers, but it's also about marriage. If you're serious relationships, there's a lot of talk with that. Family. Everyone has some family member that I'm sure they can relate to with that thing. And like Connor said, it's hilarious hearing about what dumb words your kids are talking about that they can't stop saying and things like that. So I love it. It's my Monday listen every morning.
I appreciate that. Yeah, when we had a guy one time write in, and he was like, I had this like, he was like watching his like I think it was actually the guy who wrote in, it was his uncle was watching him as a kid and his sister, and his sister wouldn't shut up. She wanted to go to the zoo, and the zoo was like an hour and a half away, and football was starting in like an hour or like 20 minutes. So he's like, all right. And they went to the quote unquote mini zoo, which was the pet store, and they walked around the pet store twice. So I'm like, that is something that's so funny and brilliant. And it's something like, it's just a story that is just tailored to our podcast. So check it out. And like Connor said, like Connor is on Zero Black 30 with Chaps, not a military guy. Obviously I am scared of like, I would probably have chopped all my fingers off if we ever went to war and there was a draft, just because I know I'd be the first one dead in like a black guy in a horror movie. And like just their stories. I mean, Connor pissing in oatmeal that came out on this podcast, right? Like stories like that, as well as like important stuff. And I mean, unfortunately, the way the world is right now, like a lot of this stuff is pretty much in like the news and the current events every day. So Zero Block 30s are great to listen to on iTunes as well with our boy Chaps, who, I mean, what can we say has been said about Chaps? He's handsome, he's funny, and he can tell a tale. So check all of them out. And Ken Palm, like Bombi said, college basketball fans, Ken Palm is like the dude that we used to just stare at his rankings, you know, every March, and we just try to figure out. And then, or in my case, a Syracuse fan, I'm like, he hates us. Why does he hate us so much? Even though I know that's not true. Ken Palm's my dude. So as always, MTV, don't quit on us. We won't quit on you, but don't fuck us up, man. Come on. Let's be better here. Trivia episode next week. Let's go.